Hi, welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul. I'm your host, Janie Charlo. Matters of the Heart and Soul is a podcast to raise awareness and awaken humanity to all that is within. We want to be a beacon of light on your life journey.
Hey guys, welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. This is your host, Janie Charlo. And co-host Russell Bruce, he had a prior engagement, so he will not be joining in on this podcast. But I didn't want to prolong this episode. I wanted to go ahead and get it out because we have been vacationing. But Russell will be joining in on our next scheduled podcast. So guys, we have been vacationing. We took about 2 weeks to travel. The kids were on spring break and they're homeschooling. So we were able to just really reset and just push back from technology and the cell phones and emails and videos and truly just have some good quality time with the kids. And we just had a great time. We just enjoyed the beach and just the beautiful sun, and we jet skied and we enjoyed great seafood, and we just had a great time truly experiencing God's work. And when you see the sun rise, you realize that there is a greater creator at work. There's a greater energy, and we are all a part of that. So on today's podcast, I am talking about God consciousness versus body consciousness. And, as we were on vacation, we just really engulfed ourselves in the sun and in the moon and in the ocean and just in the air and in the birds. And we were able to really tap into that energy and that ultimate source and realize that, man, I'm nothing but a mere speck in this whole creation story. I'm nothing but a mere bleb, a mere just dot in the whole part of it. And that's why I really wanted to talk about God consciousness. So when I talk about God consciousness, I am talking about the awareness, the knowledge of the divine source that works. That's the greater work, the greater energy that is at work and at play that is beyond us. It's beyond us, but it also connects us all. That is the God consciousness. In comparison to the body consciousness, as what has been the greatest, what I would say, if I could form my words correctly, which has been the greatest misconception of body consciousness. In the Bible, Jesus somewhere in scripture says that, in me, I'm the way and the light, and, you get to God through me. But the biggest misconception of that is God, or Jesus himself, was just consciousness. He was just God consciousness. So it was never supposed to be interpreted as you go to Jesus as the man, Jesus as the human. He was spirit. It was the spirit. It was the love. It was the spirit within him. So when Jesus was put on a cross, as the story goes, the body dies, and all of our bodies die. That's why we should never fear death, because this body is just temporary. Our consciousness lives on and on and on. It's infinite. It lives on and on and on. The consciousness that I now possess has everything to do with the journey of my soul. How many times I have been reincarnated as a soul and consciousness, in human form, in a body vessel. It has a lot to do with that. So we are all consciousness in a body form or a body vehicle. And it's so important to truly understand what we really are, because we spend a lot of time on the body. You have people in the gym working out 6-7 hours and still not gaining a deeper awareness of who they are, because their only focused is the body. And I just wanted to be clear that it's just a distorted perception, when the perception has always been God consciousness. Somehow the ego plays a role in telling you and us, you, me, and everyone else, that we are our body and we are not the body. We are spirit. We are God consciousness. We are not body consciousness. So it's so important to truly understand the difference in that. And when you look out and you look at how the greater story, the greater of this earth and everything that is here, and we have no idea how it got here, like the sun and, the stars and the planets and the trees and, all of the creation that is here. And they in their proper order doing what they were brought here or created to do. But as humans, we have egos, and our egos tricks us a lot and tells us that we are the body, but we are not the body. We are God consciousness. And that consciousness is connected to an infinite source, the infinite energy, an infinite supply. And once we can die to the body, God consciousness can arise. And it is a true process. And, in the Bible, it talks about resurrection. We just had Easter, and the story of Christianity, talks about Jesus, dying on the cross and resurrecting. But it is the God consciousness that has to resurrect. And for that to resurrect, the body consciousness has to die. What does that look like? Does that require a physical death? No, it requires a change in the mind, in the mental, in the knowledge. Consciousness is about knowledge. It is about changing your thought patterns, changing your beliefs. So in the world, we currently see so many things that are happening. We see a lot of beliefs that are falling off. We see a lot of changes in government and in systems and in education that no longer serve us. Why? Because all of that has to die off as this earth raises its vibration, taps into higher densities and dimensions. We also have to do that. We have to die to things, the body, beliefs, systems, people, habits that have grounded us in our bodies, that have grounded us in an egotistical way of thinking, that have grounded us in I like to just say a 3D way of thinking. But as we raise our consciousness, we raise our vibration, and we tap more into the God consciousness, and that frees us. It frees us so much, because the body consciousness, or, the ego, tells us so many stories. It gives us all these stories of what we were, oh, I'm Janie, a person that, had a bad relationship, or I'm the person that, had a childhood issue. I'm the person that had, parental issues, or I'm a person that had some type of legal issue. Those are all stories that the ego is constantly telling us about ourselves. But when you slough off all of those stories that have always been told to you by the ego, you begin to die of the body consciousness. All those things that we have grown attachments to and identifiers, those things begin to die off. And as that dies off, God consciousness arises. And God consciousness is love. It is a high vibration of compassion, empathy, and a oneness. Knowing that in this greater energy, the creator that have created everything links us all together. And that is what is so important to understand in God consciousness. So as we continue to raise our vibration, we have to be willing to do the things that requires us to move into these higher vibrations and dimensions. And so much of it is looking at the distortions and the programming and just, old ways of believing that we have believed for so long. And we have to face it, and we have to be honest with ourselves. When the body consciousness dies off, that is also realizing that we all have a part in our own evolution. That, the ego does a good job of blaming others and shifting the blame, and everything that has happened to me is somebody else's fault. But when you start to shift into God consciousness and those higher vibrations of love and compassion, you realize that evolution is your own duty. It is your own job to evolve. And as you seek, there's so many things that will become a catalyst for that deeper consciousness, for that rise in consciousness. There will be so many, I like to call it serendipity occurrences that will happen because we are all connected. We are all connected. So remember, it is always just your mental change, your knowledge change, your perspective change. The energy that connects us all can see everything. It's a 360-degree view. But as human beings, especially in especially in the body consciousness, in the ego, we have one perspective. It's just the perspective of the ego. So we have to open up to other perspectives. And in order to do that, you have to be willing to let go of the old perspectives. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to get that out because God consciousness, knowledge, just the wisdom, the power, the connection that all comes with that when you tap into that, it's amazing. I mean, you really become connected to everyone. Anything, your thoughts become intertwined, and the thoughts that you put out actually comes back, and you can really start to create this amazing life for yourself, and it's just wonderful. So God consciousness versus body consciousness, and for a long time this has been the greatest misconception, because so many people trust that the body, holds everything, but this body is temporary. This body will go back to the earth. But your consciousness, your knowledge base, the evolutions that your soul has been through, the reincarnations that your soul has been through will live on. It is infinite. It's infinite growth, infinite. So your consciousness is infinite. It'll come this lifetime and perhaps the next lifetime on other planets as a different type of being. It's infinite possibilities. So when we really think about it, I mean, it's crazy because it's so vast, it's so expansive, and we are a part of that because we are spiritual beings. We are the source, the consciousness, the God consciousness. Once you are awakened to that, it is within you. It works through you, and the best way to do it is to embody it. Because I could be on this podcast and try to tell you with words what that experience is like when you awaken to the God consciousness, the true God consciousness, not a being outside of myself, but the God consciousness as myself. The experience is crazy. So I could try to put this in words, verbalize it, but still, the best way I could do it is to embody it and radiate it back out. Because when I radiate that God consciousness, that love, that compassion, that higher vibration of living and being and flowing in this source energy that connects us all, it catalyzes other people to wake up. It just initiates others. It sparks their fire. It sparks their consciousness. Like, whoa, there's something about that. And then it can awaken other people. So the best way when we are in God consciousness is to be it, to embody it. And I just really, really wanted to talk about that today as we just came off of vacation and just was able to truly be in that energy, uninterrupted, without work and things like that. And just to have that energy, radiate that energy out with our children. It was just amazing. So that's God consciousness. And there's a big difference. And there has been a big misconception in God consciousness and the body consciousness. You are not your body. You are not your body. Your body is a vessel to hold that consciousness. So we have to take care of our bodies, but we are not our bodies. We are not the things that have happened to our bodies. We are not the things that we claim our bodies are. We are not the identifiers. We are not the titles. We are not any of those things that the ego and the body has claimed. We are not. And at the sooner we could die to those things and be true in who we really are, which is just pure love, pure consciousness, pure spirit, and that we are all connected in this one spirit, this one consciousness, this one energy with the ultimate creator, that creator is within us because we are a part of it and it's not outside of us. We can really tap into some amazing spiritual gifts, amazing vibrations, blissful life. We truly attain that joy, that peace, that happiness that we thought all these material things that could bring us. And once we reach that, there's still a lack, there's still a void, because we have not gotten that pure self-actualization through God consciousness, through healing ourselves, healing our chakras, raising our vibrations, realizing that we are a part of God. We are God, and there's nothing that we have to do. We were not born in sin, that there's nothing we have to do to earn that. We just have to accept it. Just like open up and accept it. There's nothing you have to do to know that you are God consciousness. We came already as consciousness. The body is nothing but a vehicle, and this body will die off. It's limited. It's a limited amount of time that your consciousness, that your spirit will be in this body. It perhaps in the next lifetime have to trade that body in for another body that could withstand the higher vibrations. Very possible. But when that body goes, your consciousness, your spirit does not. It's very, very infinite. And guys, when I tell you, it's amazing when you are constantly knowing that you can choose love moment by moment, day by day, because you're not your body. You're not your ego. You're not all the identifiers. You're not the accomplishments that you thought would bring you some type of happiness. No, you are happiness. You are love. You just have to be it. You just have to be it, embody it, accept it, and, live in that God consciousness. And when you're there, it's amazing. This world is full of a lot of different levels of consciousness, a lot of different vehicles, which is bodies, which are people, and they're all at different levels of consciousness. So we will bump into people that are different levels of consciousness, and we have to show those brothers and sisters love and grace and understanding when we bump heads in levels of understanding and consciousness. Because if you think about it, when you get into an argument with somebody, most times it's because there is a misunderstanding of consciousness, a misunderstanding of knowledge, a different perspective. Both people are coming from a different perspective. Depending on which side of the table you're on, you will see what's on that table differently. So we're all coming from a different point of view. But if moment by moment we understand that we could stand in our God consciousness, that we're not our body, we're not body consciousness, that is the greatest misconception, the greatest misconception that was told, that we don't have to do anything, that we are spirit, we are God, we are the source, and we are part of the greater source. And that greater source connects us all. We are all connected. That's the unity consciousness that's in the God consciousness. So it's amazing when you can just be in those moments, every day in God consciousness. And again, the best way is to be it, to radiate it, to exude it, because there's not enough words that I could ever say. The best teachers are always experiencing it. So when you experience it, you will know. It's pure bliss. And your thoughts about who you think you are, what you think you have to do, what you think you have to accomplish, all of that goes away. And you realize that you're nothing but pure love, spirit, connected to the Most High. All right. So that was it, guys. That's all I have to say today. I wanted to go ahead and get that out. It feels so good to be back on the podcast, rolling, talking to you guys. And again, this podcast is inspired by all matters of the heart and soul. It's inspired by love, God, relationships, finances, spirituality, masculine, feminine energy, vibrations and energy, all things of the heart and soul. We appreciate you guys. Please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. I want to mention Bridge to Healthcare, nonprofit. We're going to do our next podcast about that. Stay tuned. We're going to give you so many ways that you can help us be of service to all human beings for the greater good of all of humanity on this planet. That's coming up on our next episode. This is Janie Charlo, guys, and it is great to be back, and we will talk to you guys later. Hey guys, I'm back again. This is Janie Charlo, and we just wanted to take a little time to give some props to our sponsorships. We just want to thank Anchor for being our sponsor here to get our podcast going. So we want you all as our listeners to maybe shed some light and into your own perspective and in your own journey of life, and maybe start your own podcast, just as Anchor gave Matters of the Heart and Soul a life, and it came to life through Anchor. So consider Anchor for your podcasting.